Hello and welcome to Outstanding English. My name is Todd Elpervitz. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to make sentences and questions in the present continuous tense. We use the present continuous tense to talk about things happening now, such as, I'm recording a lesson, my daughter is practicing the violin downstairs, and the workers are digging up the road outside. We also use it to talk about temporary situations, like she's driving a rental car because hers is being repaired. Once her car is finished being repaired, she'll go back to driving that car. I could say, I'm reading a great fantasy novel. I might not be reading it right now, but these days I'm reading one. We could say, we're remodeling our kitchen. We might not be working on it right now, but we are either planning or doing some work these last few days or maybe even weeks. We can talk about habits that aren't regular but happen often using the present continuous tense. These are usually annoying habits, and we use the adverbs of frequency like always or constantly when talking about these. For example, I'm always misplacing my keys, and he's constantly texting me at night. Or, they're always picking their noses. Oh, disgusting. We can also use the present continuous tense to talk about future arrangements. When we make a sentence using the present continuous tense to talk about future arrangements, we have a time expression in our sentence. Like, we're visiting Taipei next month, I'm meeting a client tomorrow morning, or she's presenting at a conference next week. These are things we have planned to do and will likely carry out unless something big happens. How do we make positive sentences in the present continuous tense? We have our subject, followed by our be verb, is, and a verb plus ing. So we have I am, you, they are, he, she, it is, and then our verb plus ing. For example, I am studying, they are cleaning, and she is watching TV. We can also make a contraction with our subject and our be verb. So I am becomes I'm, you, they are becomes your, we're, their, he, she, it is becomes he's, she's, its. Some example sentences are, I'm reading a book, they're waiting for a bus, and he's playing outside. Now there are some special rules for adding ing that I want to go over before we continue. We add ing to most verbs. So go becomes going, eat becomes eating, sleep becomes sleeping, and read becomes reading. If a verb ends in e, drop the e and add ing. So use becomes using, bake becomes baking, and smile becomes smiling. If a verb ends in ie, change the ie to y and add ing. There aren't too many of these verbs. Some examples are tie, tying, lie, lying, and die, dying. In addition, if we have a one-syllable consonant-vowel-consonant verb, double the final consonant and add ing. So run becomes running with two n's, get becomes getting with two t's, swim becomes swimming with two m's, and put becomes putting with two t's. For two-syllable verbs that end in consonant, vowel, consonant, and the last syllable is stressed, double the final consonant and add ing. So begin becomes beginning with two n's, forget becomes forgetting with two t's, and admit becomes admitting with two t's. Let's take a moment to practice adding ing to verbs. In the description below, there is a shared Google Doc that you can find these and other exercises to practice on. Alternatively, you can use a notebook, a scrap piece of paper, or your head to practice these verbs. Do you simply add ing? Do you double the final consonant and add ing? Or do you drop the e and add ing? Pause this video and take a moment to fill in this chart. How do your answers look? For the verbs that we just add ing, do you have sleeping, cooking, staying, and talking? For the verbs where we double the consonant and add ing, do you have beginning, jogging, forgetting, and planning? And for verbs that we drop the e and add ing, do you have taking, writing, having, and living? If so, great, let's move on. Now, how do we make negative sentences in the present continuous tense? We have our subject, followed by our be verb, followed by not, and a verb plus ing. For example, I am not standing in line, we are not doing homework, or he is not taking a bath. Alternatively, we can use contractions to make it shorter. We can have our subject and our be verb as a contraction, followed by not, or we can have our subject and a be verb and not as a contraction with every subject but I. Here are some examples. I'm not cooking, we're not sleeping, or we aren't sleeping, and she's not working, or she isn't working. Let's take a moment to practice making positive sentences. Take a look at our subject, add am, is, or are, or a contraction, and add ing to the verb in parentheses. Pause this video and do it either in the Google Doc, on a scrap piece of paper, in your notebook, or in your head. Let's take a moment to look at our answers. For number 1, did you write they're baking or they are baking a cake in the kitchen? For number 2, did you write he's texting or he is texting his coworker? For number 3, did you write I'm doing or I am doing my classwork? For number 4, do you have she's filling or she is filling out an application? Number 5, did you write the birds are singing in the garden? Usually with a noun, we won't add a contraction, especially with plural nouns when we're writing, but sometimes when we're speaking. And for number 6, did you write the driver is going the wrong way? And for number 7, did you write we're using or we are using our computers? If so, great, let's move on. Now let's take a moment to practice making negative sentences. Be sure you have the correct be verb, not, and a verb plus ing. You may use contractions if you like. Pause this video and take a moment to write out these answers or do them in your head. Now let's take a look at our answers. For number 1, did you write, they're not baking a cake in the kitchen? You could also say, they are not or they aren't baking. Number 2, did you write, he's not texting his coworker? You could also write, he is not or he isn't. For number 3, did you write, I'm not doing my classwork? We could also write, I am not doing my classwork. Number 4, do you have, she's not filling out an application? You could also write, she is not filling out an application or she isn't filling out an application. Number 5, did you write, the birds aren't singing in the garden? You could also write, the birds are not singing in the garden. Number 6, do you have, the driver isn't going the wrong way? You could also write, the driver is not going the wrong way. And for number 7, did you write, we're not using our computers? You could also say, we are not using our computers or we aren't using our computers. Now let's talk about how to make yes and no and WH questions in the present continuous tense. When we're making yes or no questions, we have our be verb followed by our subject followed by a verb plus ing. On this chart, I also have some short answers for either positive answers and negative answers. For example, am I washing dishes? Yes, you are, or no, you're not, or no, you aren't. Are they sleeping? Yes, they are, or no, they're not, or no, they aren't. Is he walking outside? Yes, he is, or no he's not, or no he isn't. To make a WH question, we take our WH question word, followed by a be verb, followed by our subject, and then a verb plus ing. Some examples are, what am I doing? And where are you going? And why is he running? In this exercise, we're going to unscramble the questions and unscramble the answers. Do this in our Google Doc, in your notebook, on a scrap sheet of paper, or in your head. How do your answers look? For number 1, do you have, where are the children playing? They're playing outside. For number 2, do you have, what are you doing? I'm taking out the garbage. For number 3, did you write, is she ordering breakfast? No, she isn't. And for number 4, did you write, what is he reading? He's reading a fantasy novel. Thank you for joining me here at Outstanding English. If you liked today's content, be sure you hit that outstanding like button and don't forget to subscribe. See you next week.